Welcome to the discussion on construction law and policies. I'm your host, Nikhil Ramdev, Senior Associate at MRP Advisory. Today, we will be discussing issues relating to litigation funding. For that, we have a special guest with us, Mr. Kishore Jaichandani, who is the founder and managing partner of a Dubai-based litigation funding firm, Caveat Capital. Thank you, Mr. Kishore, for taking out time from a busy schedule to join us for the discussion. For the audience, can you please briefly introduce yourself and the work Caveat Capital does?
Thank you, Nikhil. It is nice introduction. My name is Kishore, and I'm an Indian national, but I live in Dubai last 27 years. I keep traveling, but Dubai is my base, and traveling is wherever the business is globally, as we do global business. So at Caveat Capital, we do legal funding, or let's say litigation finance. And we do this business globally. We have clients UK, US, Europe, Middle East. Anyway, it's our forte. So this is how we work, Nikhil.
Thank you, sir. So can you briefly explain what is litigation funding for those who are unfamiliar with the concept?
Yeah, sure. See, litigation funding has many names in the industry. Say legal finance, litigation funding, commercial legal finance, third-party legal funding. And the idea is simple that the business and the law firms use money from third-party finance providers to pay commercial litigation and arbitration cost. And funding comes in many ways. Funding can be to cover the fees and expenses, monetization of claims, awards, or advance entitlement for single case matter or portfolio of legal cases. Capital typically comes as a non-recourse, which is, we say, non-dat, meaning that the investment and the return are paid back only on a successful resolution. So it's a non-recourse funding means that where the funder invests into legal cost for the case, depending on the merit, of course, and take all the risk. Meaning if you lose the case, investor or funder will bear the total cost. And if you win the case, investor or the funder will take the multiple of the investment as their fee or share. So it's a kind of a high risk, high reward proposition. So legal finance mainly used by two category of, you can say, people. One is business, right from startup to 500, Fortune 500 companies. They use legal finance if they have any legal case to deal with. And the other class is law firms for their single case and portfolio of cases as a blanket finance, because law firm are the best people who are receiving all the cases, legal cases, and most of the time, big size legal cases. Clients have short of cash flow, sorry, and this is where we bridge the gap. Here, the business can turn their legal paper into cash, meaning that if they have a legal case and unforeseen judgment or non-performing loans, they can unlock their cash flow from these pending claims and awards by utilizing our services.
Thank you so much for explaining the concept in such a clear way. So I'll move to the next question. So can you please tell what motivated you to establish a litigation funding business?
Uh, yeah, since I have actually both the backgrounds, legal backgrounds and finance backgrounds in terms of qualification and experience. I have been, as I said, I'm 27 years in Dubai, and we have seen in UAE that a lot of growth in terms of legal platforms and DIFC, ADGM, Dubai International Arbitration Center. They are all working on a global level, and we have been observing those while I was doing CFO investment consultant work for so many years in this country. So my experience has got more exposure when I was doing arranging legal finance in my last few jobs for a big house and big family business in Dubai. There I come to know legal finance is really a good scope. Though it's matured in UK, US, and mainly Australia, rest of the countries are growing, but it's really challenging and very attractive asset class that attract me as well because of my background.
Thank you so much. What is the market and growth prospects of litigation funding industry?
Litigation funding is fast growing asset class and it's very exciting and dynamic marketplace. And it has been in practice very well into UK, US, Australia. And since then, more than like 15 years, it is very mature there. Whereas the other growing markets like Singapore, Hong Kong, Middle East, India, Latin America, they are growing in this asset class very fast. Since last few years, there has been a lot of capital injection into this kind of asset class, which is of course litigation funding. So people are now choosing this as attractive asset class. And rather than putting the money into mutual fund, fixed income investment, or let's say investment into the gold, private equity fund, the returns you can expect into this kind of asset class, which is litigation finance, is highly compelling. Though there is a lot of risk attached to this, but in so is the reward, I will say. So certainly in the last few years, we have observed a lot of steep growth into this area. Litigation funding investment market size, if we say, it has been assessed at $17.5 billion in 2024 and is expected to reach around 67 billion by end of 2037. So let's say 10 to 12 years, we are seeing this market to grow more than 4 times. So a lot of growth, new players are coming to the market. So we have seen a lot of money coming into the industry through the new sources like family offices, hedge fund, pension fund, like this thing. And from the other advisory angles, we can say there's a lot of opportunity because a lot of capital is available in the market. And an important thing for us to ensure that the opportunities provided to these investors are well advised and well structured.
Thank you so much. So, can you walk us through a typical process a client goes through when seeking a litigation funding?
Yeah, sure. Client can be a business directly or a law firm. So whoever comes to us for requesting for legal finance, we do first of all the case review, complete case review, and we do the due diligence with our team. And if we find merits in the legal case based on the jurisdiction, complexity of the case, period, then we arrange the funding arrangement and we talk about the funding commercials, means the ROI, return and all. Following which, if the clients agree, then we do the term sheet and then we finally sign the litigation funding agreement, which is LFA.
Thank you so much. So, what is the key criteria, especially for due diligence, you consider when evaluating a case for funding?
Yeah, it is interesting that which case to get accepted and which not, because it all depends on the what is the jurisdiction, what's the complexity in the case, what is industry relates to, and duration expectation based on the area or jurisdiction. How can we do enforcement of this case? After enforcement, collection, and then traceable assets, and do the defendant has assets and cash to claim at the end of the day? Because any party or any client, they don't want to see only a piece of paper which is called judgment in their favor, which looks good, but judgment in their favor is just nothing more than a piece of paper. They always would like to make sure that their investment, they receive their claim in cash end of the day, and that's all we would like to visualize from the day one. So this is how we do the due diligence.
Thank you so much. So, what is a typical funding structure look like? Are there different models or solutions that you employ? If you can shed some light on that.
Mainly, yeah, Nikhil, mainly it is multiple of invested capital, which is MOIC. This is the general market practice that whatever amount in terms of legal costs, which includes lawyer fee, court fee, arbitration fee, expert fee, or any other kind of fee into the case, whatever total investment has been invested by the investor or funder, uh, after the client win the case and they get the money claim, there is a certain multiple, which is market rate is around 4 to 5 multiples in general. However, it depends on the level of risk and jurisdiction. So higher the risk, higher the reward, lower the risk, lower the multiple, you can say. So this is how it works. And apart from that, we arrange the alternative ways of funding, means having a lawyer on a contingent basis, expert on contingent basis. This is a part way of covering the cost of the case.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kishore. It really highlights the importance of having the right support during the legal disputes. So, how do you support law firm interests, if I may ask?
See, every case is a different and a different complexity involved with the respective jurisdiction, as I said. And we prepare the legal case into a business case, and for each legal case as well as portfolio of cases for it as we receive. And we provide a bespoke services because lawyers are not finance people, and we are not expecting lawyers to arrange funding. But in this business, you need to have a two hats, legal hat and finance hat. So arrangement of funding is not their job. So there has to be another hat for them as a finance hat. So what we do is, now the question is that which cases qualify for funding and which cases not. So we work together with the lawyers and scrutinize the case and do the due diligence. And if the case has merit, and we arrange funding for that. So in principle, what I will say is, if there's a good case which has potential of success, there should be a funding available for that anywhere. However, as I mentioned, that a different funder have a different appetite. So we at Caveat Capital manage this, arrange, provide solution for the claimant and law firm anywhere in the world. Now, law firms, we support law firm in every way, because law firm, they most of the time put their skin into the case, and they become the main contributor to make sure that the case is win or lose, whatever is the case. So the legal role is very important. So many times they also put their skin into the game. So they work either contingent basis, hybrid basis, or conditional basis. So we make sure that we take care of the lawyers who are involved and they get paid in time properly.
Thank you so much for the insight. So, moving further, so how is technology impacting the litigation funding industry? What is the role of legal tech and AI in litigation funding, and how are you deploying it?
Yes, there are many legal tech and AI solutions available to support and analyze the legal cases, where we can predict the winning probability of the cases, especially in US, where the market is more mature. The AI technology will utilize tens of thousands of millions of cases in their system to analyze, and based on the historic track record of the similar cases, it provides range of probabilities to win the case and its period, it's a similar jurisdiction or different jurisdiction. Also, it will provide you the important facts like what are the arguments, defense, what kind of evidences are more relevant in your case or the case which can be comparable for this case, and what are the basis of rejection, what are the basis of favorable decision making, etc. So then it's going to be easy for the funder to invest into the case, because they have a good feedback from the help of the technology, and it's going to be easy for the lawyers to work on contingent based these kinds of things, because they got more confidence. But of course, they're not going to replace the intelligent underwriting work for the legal experts or who are involved into this litigation funding business. But it's a valuable tool, and it provides ability to give you analytic view. And as you know, that there are always limitations of human brain. So human brains are not able to analyze tens of millions of cases, which is AI and the tech can do that. And it's a good source. So AI has created these capabilities. So it's always beneficial to use that to screen the case to develop a prima facie opinion, let's say.
Thank you so much. It's a relief to listen that we will not be replaced. Moving further, what advice would you give to businesses or law firms considering seeking litigation funding?
Certainly, as you know, that in the finance world, we always say cash is always king. So there are many legal cases which are valid and have a very high potential to win, but they can't reach to the court in time because of lack of funding. So here another question arises that utilization of litigation funding is a necessity or a choice. So even if you have funds available to invest in the legal case, and you need to wait for 2, 3 years or maybe more, you can't even know whether you're going to win or lose the case, and you still need to go to third party funding. So I'm saying that many corporates, many business are taking the useful management of working capital by using this litigation funding. So for your case, you use third party funding and reduce the risk and invest the capital into on your core business. So this is what we say to the corporates, that if they have a spare cash, use there into core business, legal finance, and investing into the legal case, use the legal finance. So business always has a cost of capital, by the way, and then which is always high. So plus you don't know you're going to win or lose the case. So we always recommend that the business use the litigation funding. It's a wise utilization of working capital. Also, there are other technical reasons, I'll say. Recently, we have viewed that many businesses looking for external third-party funding or litigation finance for their legal case to manage their accounting well. Okay, because you can keep the third-party funding item as an off-balance sheet item. This means that the no risk you can show into your balance sheet. Your balance sheet will show no risk. And in the P&L, litigation funding cost always you can keep away from the P&L. You don't need to show that because it's off balance sheet item, and keep the EBITDA looks better. So this is going to help you doing business valuation. When some business are doing business valuation, they are doing M&A transaction or raising loan through banks. In these situations, the most common covenant is to see EBITDA, and when you use the litigation funding, your EBITDA becomes more positive. So sometimes there can be other non-cash reason also where business might choose to bring external finance to their legal cases.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kishore, for the insight. So moving to the next question, what category of asset class is this, and what are the expected returns to the investors?
Well, it's interesting to know that litigation funding is a non-correlated asset class. Like the proceeding happen into the courtroom or an arbitration panel has nothing to do with the external world or external financial market, what is happening. Meaning that sometime if there is some recession comes. So all the majority of asset class are correlated with one way or the another. So all the market goes down, all the asset class goes down. But litigation funding has nothing to do with the market, and it is safe. So there is no impact. And if there's any economic recession in the world, it doesn't matter to the litigation funding asset class uh, as a whole. Therefore, apart from many other third-party professional funders, there are many other class of investors who would like to invest into the asset class, like hedge fund and pension fund, as I said, and family offices. So this help them to hedge their overall portfolio. Okay. Now, regarding the returns, as the risks are comparatively higher, so are the returns into this asset class. For reference, you can take data from publicly listed companies who are funders, and they make IRR between 30 to even 100%. So it's good asset class for the investors if you have money to invest into that.
Thank you for the insightful statistics. So moving further, while you assess legal budget for your client globally, how are the trends for legal costs for legal funding in the Middle East compared to the global markets?
Well, legal budgets in Middle East are highly context driven, context dependent, and are increasingly aligned with the global markets, particularly for complex litigation and arbitration. Although there are regional variations, that still remains due to factors like jurisdiction, legal framework, market maturity. Now let's for example, domestic dispute. For domestic dispute in the Middle East, the budgets are comparatively lower. Onshore litigation in Middle East jurisdiction like Saudi, Oman, Qatar, they are often lower cost compared to Middle Western jurisdiction due to the simplification of court process, lower attorney fee, uh, and the fewer procedural stages. Now, for example, I'll give you one example of the case. A contract dispute involving $5 million claim in Riyadh requires a legal budget of $250,000. In contrast, a similar case in US federal court system that could exceed to $1 million due to the extensive discovery, disposition, and trial stage. Now, budgets are higher for complex international arbitration cases in Middle East. Let's say DIFC, ADGM, ICC. Arbitration budgets in the UAE, particularly DIFC, ADGM, and international forums like ICC, which is International Chamber of Commerce, are comparable to or even higher than Europe and US. A case I will give you as an example is like a 150 million construction case dispute in DIFC that requires legal budget of $4.5 million, which is similar to the comparable at the London Court of International Arbitration, where significant cost includes cost of expert, documentation presentation and production, and the tribunal cost. Now, legal budgets in Saudi Arabia are trending higher, again, with the majority of the market. Recent judicial reforms have been taken place into Saudi, which has increased the demand for specialized legal expertise in Saudi, and they have driven the legal cost high. For example, a major corporate case involves $20 million claim size in Riyadh. They have seen that 1.2 million driven, 1.2 million cost, which is driven by the use of international law firm and for advisory role. That involvement of, because of the involvement of expert witness, advice for multiple jurisdiction, that contributes to the cost, which is very high there in Saudi. Now we can talk about Middle East offshore jurisdiction versus onshore court. Offshore court like DIFC, ADGM, they typically have a fee structure that mirrors to international market. Whereas onshore court, which is, let's say, UAE Federal Court or Saudi Board of Grievances, are generally more cost effective. For example, ADGM one shareholder dispute involved $50 million claim, and the legal budget for that is $3 million. That reflecting the international arbitration cost. And in comparison, the equivalent claim handled by Abu Dhabi onshore court incurred the legal cost of $600,000. This is due to the streamlined procedure and limited discovery of the phases. Now, finally, the legal fee tickets for a specialized practice in Middle East like IP cases, energy or construction related cases. The legal fee for these kind of cases are high value cases and high cost. Specialized sectors like intellectual property, energy and construction in Middle East can also be as high as other global markets due to the need of a niche expertise in those cases. For example, one IP dispute between two technology firms in Qatar that require a legal funding of $2 million. That's driven by the expert testimony, cross-border legal analysis, and enforcement challenges. This was similar to the equivalent case in the Singapore and US. So this is how it works into Middle East in comparison to the Western market.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kishore, for this enriching session. It was nothing less than a masterclass on